This is the Volkswagen California Ocean, the T6.1. Now, I have it for a full week and I'm planning on doing the school run in this, living with it, going up swimming. I'm going to take it around the country as well on a little road trip. I'm going to sleep over in it with the kids. I'm also going to stay over on myself outside a friend's house and really put it through its paces. But here's my concern. Now, I'm 6'2", so a little bit tall, gangly legged. This isn't the biggest of camper vans at all. And I'm a little bit concerned that I'm going to find this just a bit small and pokey. So let's get on with the week. So it's time for the first leg of the journey, and I just want to give you kind of a roundup on what's going on here in the car. So here's the first leg of the journey that we have, going from just outside Drogheda down to King John's Castle in Limerick. So it's 241 kilometres, and it's going to take us just 2.5 hours. So we get there just before 12. Now, I could try to hypermile this thing and go really slowly on the motorway, tuck in behind a truck, but I want to drive it realistically but get there by 12. So I will be pulling it back on the motorway, maybe not as low as 100 but definitely 110 max, just to try and eke as much efficiency out of this as we can, just to give a kind of a real world estimate as well. You're not always blaring down the motorway in a big rush. But in terms of the car, what do we have? Well, we've got, you know, according to this anyway, it says there 3/4 of a fuel tank. Now I'm going to reset the trip meter here. So if I long press that, we're back to long term. There we go. So that'll give us a good idea of fuel consumption, telling you how much you'll get out of this on a trip like we're doing. Now, another thing that's important as well is I just looked up the weather forecast. Now, it's a bright day at the moment. The temperatures are, it's 15.5 degrees, you can see there. So 15.5 degrees, nice and sunny, but it's quite windy today. We've got winds in the Midlands and Ireland anyways. We'll be driving through that of about 25 to 30 kilometers an hour, and that's a northerly wind, and we're going in a south kind of westerly direction. So it's definitely going to be hurting us a little bit and affecting things. But look, it's time to hit the road, and I'll give you guys an update whenever I stop or when I get down to Limerick as well. So we have just arrived in Limerick. I've tried to press record on this straight away as I stopped the car down at Merchants Quay in Limerick. So let's have a look at the numbers just there. Oh, hold on. Park, it's after going away. If I press the OK button on the steering wheel. Yeah, here we go. So since I reset the trip meter there, we did 242 kilometers. Now that says 2 hours 45, but there was kind of 2 minutes since I've pulled over here, and then maybe 4 or 5 minutes by the time I actually hit the road after recording. Average speed and 7.5 litres per 100 kilometers. So this thing actually was a lot more efficient than I thought, just with the sheer bulk of it going down into the wind as well, that the thing would really drink through the fuel. So the reason we've actually come to Limerick is for the Limerick Island swim. So it's a 3.9 kilometre route around King John's Island, so we go around the castle, and this is where it's going to start off. So you can actually see there's a pretty good crowd gathering over my head there, safety briefing, and the race is going to start in about 30 minutes. So that's the main, if we look over just here, that's the main Shannon River there, and the tide is coming up the river. So it's going to be helping us from the start line just here, and then you go up and all the way around, and the King John's Castle is there. You can probably see it in the background over at the potato market. And then you finish up just over here at the slipway just there. So the idea is that this will take just over an hour, so we'll be pretty tired afterwards, maybe a little bit cranky as well. But yeah, just want to let you know why we're actually here for this trip. The van has actually been particularly handy now as we're getting ready and getting changed for the swims. The safety briefing's about to happen over there, but there's just so much space inside this thing. So we look in here, we've got the 2 full benches. I've got places to store gear. The other thing as well is you can pull down these blinds as well to get changed in here, which is really handy. A little bit of a sink. I would keep some food cold there that I had in the fridge. But also what I can do is the bed that's built into the upper part of this, we've actually got that pushed upwards. As you can see, it's now full height there. So if you can see me here, I'm sitting down at the moment, and you can actually stand up in here. And just for a bit of context, I'm 6'2", so 1.89 meters, and look, I've still got stretch my hand all the way up to touch the top. So yeah, that's another big benefit of this thing, and one of the reasons that I'm falling in love with it. So just finished up the swim there. I can't imagine what my face looks like because I don't feel great at this stage, but they gave us a cup of hot soup just there as we finished, and there was an announcement just there. A 79-year-old woman just finished the course. Fair play to her, just under 4 kilometers. But I've got all the gear here, and it's just brilliant having the camper van now where I can get changed pretty comfortably instead of in the corner over there or something like that. And the van wins again on that account. And then check back in with you before we leave just to let you know the next stage of the plan. Each camper van is going to be different for each person and what they want to get out of it. For me, I want to be able to chill down a few beers and a bit of white wine for when I'm on the campsite, or in today's case when I'm going to meet a friend. Now, I'm after just visiting Tesco after the swim there, and I bought a load of stuff. So a beer I really like, Czech beer, whatever. I bought 2 boxes of 12 bottles of this, and I've got 3 bottles of wine. So the challenge that we're going to do, by the way, not sponsored by Budvar or the wine, I just like it. The challenge here is, what time is it now? So we've got... It's can we chill the beers and the wine in time for when we start later on. So it is 10 to 5, it's quite late. So really, you know, it's going to be a couple of hours to get there, get set up, might have a shower and stuff like that. So how chilled can we get these beers and the wine in this fridge here in that 2.5 hours? And we'll test it then when we get there. So let's load it up, and then I'll show you how to turn on the fridge as well and how the whole thing works. Now, I purposely left this fridge open while I was doing that whole swim. So this thing is absolutely room temperature. It is not chilled in any way, and some good space in there. So let's start filling it up and see how we go. It actually comes with this basket which suspends in the fridge, and I think that's a really handy thing, but we don't need it, so I'm going to leave that to the side and just cram as much of these bottles in as we can standing up. I bought this much, like there's not a chance we're going to drink even a third of this, but I bought it loads just to properly test the fridge, so I thought I'd fill it up and then just leave whatever was left over out. But this thing is just gobbling them up. So much space in here. So there we go, 24 33 CL bottles of wine and 3 full bottles of wine. And look at this, it hasn't even filled up the fridge. That is just brilliant. So yeah, good, really good capacity in that. Now I'm going to tidy up, move things away. We'll close over the fridge. I'm going to show you how to turn it on here. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but you might as well have a look. So we pop into the front. And I have this on the, I know it looks really weird, it's on the super view lens on the camera that I'm using, so a real wide lens, you take in as much as we can. So what we want to see is up here. So this screen here, we press the button, it lights up the screen. Get even closer here. Do you know what? I'll just put it right there so you guys can see it really well. So this is showing the leisure battery that's on board. The water tank is empty and the wastewater tank is a little bit in it. And the, let's see, swipe over what we're looking for, the refrigeration box. Yeah, here we go. So click on that. And then you see this little orange symbol has come on, which means that's on now. But you can also do different settings, power settings as well. Oh, let's jack that up max, give ourselves the best chance. And we'll just go back out here and have a look at the battery as well, just to see what stage it's on. But this will refill the battery as we're driving along, or if you wanted, you could do max charge just there. Currently unavailable because the engine isn't even on, but while we're driving then it just plows loads of energy in and charges up that battery, so that if you get to your destination and you know you're going to need it, it's there. I'll keep an eye on that on the journey. You're kind of expecting it with new cars these days, but it does have Android Auto, which is a good thing anyway. So let's get that up and we'll put in our destination in County Kilkenny. Now let's go here over, see how the car is getting on. I'm not going to reset the trip meter here because I want to see what this does. Oh, do you know what? See, long term is the trip. I'll get rid of that. Let's go back. When you turn on Google Maps, it automatically switches over to show you the directions just here, which I suppose is a handy thing. But long term is what the journey's been so far. We already have the since refueling one and since start, which was this morning. So I'm going to go back to the long term one and we're going to reset that. Or do we want to keep it as the same? Do you know what? Let's keep it as the same so we get an accurate reading on the whole trip. And then also I can give you the since refueling, which is when I pick the car up, which is even longer distance. So we'll go with that. But anyway, look, we've got you know, in and around half a tank just there. That's estimating 570 kilometers of range from it. We have 146 kilometers and it should be just over 2 hours on this journey. And it'll be interesting just to see how it gets on, because It's going to be a lot more back roads as opposed to the motorway from Drogheda down, and the wind has really calmed down. There's not much at all, and a little bit of rain there at the moment, so we won't get those bad conditions that we had on the way down here, but I'll give you an update whenever we arrive. We've arrived in Kilkenny, 2-hour 19 journey, so pretty much, almost exactly what Google Maps said we would do, and considering that I took a wrong turn in there, I think we did all right. So let me bring up the screen just here. So we press the button on the steering wheel like that, and it toggles through the menu at the back. And we want to go to driving data. Yeah, so there we go, 147 kilometers. The car is saying 2 hours 26, but 6.6 litres per 100 kilometers. I think that's pretty good. And if we toggle again, so we've done 390 since we left Drogheda this morning, and average 7.2. So a little bit easier driving on the way here to Kilkenny from Limerick. And maybe kind of good time just to give some thoughts on it. It's on these kind of back twisty roads where it was all pretty much the whole way 80 kilometers an hour. It's just, for me personally, driving a diesel, there's no regen braking, and it's on and off, and you kind of get the chugginess and it's slow to get going. Excuse me. It's just it's inevitable. Not for me personally, but otherwise the thing is great. But obviously the most important part of this trip, is how do the beers and the wine get on the fridge. So let me just put this down here and adjust that. Right. So I've had the fridge on the whole way. Now, I just checked the clock there. So they've been in there chilling for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. But it's 24 bottles of beer and 3 bottles of wine. So I'm not expecting much. And let's see how the first touch. Oh, wow. There's actually beads of ice forming on the side walls of this. So it's absolutely working in that sense. And let's hold on to the beer. And it's chilled down. It's not cold enough now. If I pull that out of the fridge at home, no. So we're not there yet after 2 hours 45 minutes, but it's definitely chilled a bit, all right, but just not a huge amount. I wonder if I grab one of the other beers. So, oh, okay, now we're talking. So this one here was leaning against that side wall of the fridge. So obviously the cooling part is on the bit that's towards the window, the outside of it just there. And that beer is really cold. Oh, that's uncomfortable to hold. And at this point, I do want to say that this is a motoring channel. I'm all about electric vehicles here normally, but it's about cars and motoring. And I'm not fully happy with the association. I know I'm chilling beers here as part of it just to show it off, because I'm going to be having a few tonight. But I really am one of those people that's just so insistent on not drinking and driving. Just the tragedy, the loss of life, and even beyond that, the amount, thousands and hundreds of people, even in Ireland alone, that are getting injured seriously. It's horrible. It's disgusting, and we really need to cut that down, especially in 2024. It's just spiked up, and we need to do everything we can. So this association here between alcohol and this channel, I'm not fully happy with, but I'm just saying that I will absolutely not be driving for at least 16 hours from now. And just to reiterate that safety part of it, and this is not an association that I think is okay to have a beer and then get in the car. Absolutely not. Safety really is just important here with that loss of life on the roads. So it's the next morning. I've just had a shower and a bit of breakfast inside the house there, which is actually great to be able to do that. Like if you're at a campsite, obviously you do something else. But anyway, what I want to do now is just give you the impressions, because I've stayed in this thing for the last 2 nights. And I suppose at that stage you start to get a good feel for what it's like. And I just thought I'd give you a quick tour of how it's set up now. So I obviously had to open up a couple of doors and stuff to get out. So there we are. Just have a look in there. You can see now, excuse the mattress, there's no spare one that I had from the house. But you can see this is the mattress that actually comes with the van just there. That'll fold up into 3 sections and go in the boot. That's the bench of the back seats that you normally see. And if we lift up the mattress there, you can actually see the seat belts of the backrest, and that folds up in this direction here. And you could actually still have the bench just there. There's enough leg room there for adults, with the back of the seat here giving you all that space in the back for luggage. But look, let's just step inside now and I'll show you a bit more. I got to kick off my shoes because I'm going to climb around in here a little bit and show you Now, actually, do you know what I'll do is close the passenger door, and then we'll close over the side of the van now and put back down the blind. It'll be interesting now just to see if there's enough light in here. So yeah, there we go. Well, that goes a little bit further. Yeah, so inside here, and look, there's one of these lights on. There's actually lights all over the place here. So you've got this one just here. So that will, oh, it's not even turned off. Oh, the controls are up there. But anyway, look, you've got other lights just there. And then there's ones built into the roof as well with a switch just here at the front. So if you're staying in that bed upstairs, you've got your lights there as well. But anyway, this is where I was. Now, like for a bit of context, I'm 6'2". Oh, the lights have gone out there. Why is that? Let me see. Press it again. Yeah, there we go. And what about this one? And they've come back on. And it's a little bit dark there now at the moment, isn't it? So just to give you more light so you can see, I'll go turn around. You've got all this netting up here. So we'll open this one up. That loads of light in just there. And there's netting there as well. And that stops of the insects and stuff getting in. But you've got another one just there on this side, then over this side. Another one of those. But also this whole section here, you can see the zip. I'm tracing with my finger that goes all the way up to the roof there. That whole front section will actually open up if you want with no netting, just open up to the elements. But anyway, you can see in from this angle, there's the bed. Now another thing that I like that's handy enough is you still get, with the bed in this position, you still get access to the fridge. I mean, you're probably not going to be cooking here with stuff spattering out onto your blankets. It might be a little bit dangerous as well. And you get access to your sink. So it's pretty handy in that sense. You can get access to the storage and stuff like that. But the bed itself is quite comfortable. Now it's a little bit firm because the mattress is quite thin. But having slept in here for 2 nights, I've no back issues at all. I did find it, yeah, slightly firm, but absolutely fine. And another thing that I like about it is, and what I might do is just place the camera. I'd love to have high quality camera in here, but you just can't move around as much. So this is what you're getting. So look, we'll place that camera there. I'll show you. We'll move that out of the way, the big blanket. And I've got a few pillows there. Now another thing as well is if you've got this on the flat, you can't lean up against the back because a little visor, or sorry, the shade that's pulled down there, and you don't want to break that. But what you can do is, there's a little rope just here. So if I grab, where's it gone? Oh yeah, there it is. So I pull on that. Oh, I'm actually leaning on it. And then look at this. It goes up into place, and you can have it in any kind of angle you want. So you can sit up here like I did last night for a while, read the book for a few minutes, then watch something on my phone, access to the fridge if you want a cold beer or something like that. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And this can go in different heights as well. If you want it fully upright, just pull it up a little bit more. So it's whatever suits you. And then when you're ready to go sleep, drop it back down like that. Yeah, and like there's loads of space. I'm 6'2" and I've still got enough here. Now if my wife was in this as well, if there's 2 people in here, it'd be a cozy fit, let's be honest. But look, if there's only 2 of you, you could always put one person upstairs and one down here if you wanted the space. And yeah, really good. Now a few other things to go through as well is sound insulation. So when you've got the roof up like this, you do get a lot of sound coming in. There's a road about 50 meters down there, and I could definitely hear the cars whizzing up and down. Another one as well, I've had the fridge on the whole night, and you can't, it's so faint. You can just, like in the dead of the night, you can just about hear it ticking over, but certainly it wouldn't bother me at all. It might bother some people, but of course you just turn it off if you don't need it on. And on that note, do you remember yesterday, I opened up that fridge, packed it up at 4 o'clock, and then, now I was driving until about 7, but from 7 o'clock, the engine hasn't been on. So the battery, the leisure battery that's in this hasn't been charged at all. But if we come around here, see, I'll get into the front. It's great that you can actually move around this so much. And it probably looks worse than it is because I'm a little bit 6'2" and gangly legged and long arms and all that. So it's probably a little bit easier for most people. But the screen up here, so if we click on that, so we can see there, we still got, what's that, about 40% of the battery left. Here, going a little bit closer. And you can see there, about 40. And it's pulling 4 amps at the moment. There's a few lights on, the fridge is ticking over and stuff like that. But here's the thing, right, because the battery is depleted. Let's say if we turned on the engine now, so I come over here, turn on the engine, and wait to see what happens to this now. And so the pop-up roofing is open, yeah, so don't drive off basically. Press OK, and look at this, look at the amps. So now the engine is charging the battery, and it's charging it really quickly as well, like 120 amps at 14 volts. So that'll be topped up now. So if you are moving on to your next campsite or something like that now, by the time you get there, that leisure battery will be charged up again, and you can still run your lights in your fridge and all that kind of stuff. But that fridge has been on from, without the engine on, from 7 p.m. last night to 11:30 in the morning the next day, and it only used about, yeah, I'd say 50%, half of the battery. So it just goes to show there's good longevity in that leisure battery there. I also just want to mention the light. Now I've got this zipped up, so let's kind of close it. Can you do it with one hand? Oh yeah, that's handy. And then I'm going to turn off that diesel engine, actually, that turned on a minute ago. We don't need that now. Might make the audio a little bit clearer. But yeah, in terms of light coming in here, because there's blinds on every single window, as you can see. So at the front here, they pull across from the A pillar there, this little unit there that you attach them into, and then there's little cubby holes down the end. Now what I've done for an extra bit of light protection is fold down the mirror there, because you can see there's that big gap where light does get in, and in terms of people being able to see, and theoretically, but they'd want to be really permanent to look in. But look, you can just close that, possibly put a bit of paper up there if you want. But there's really good light insulation, is that a word? Blocks out the light. Tiny little cracks everywhere. These are magnetic. So around the door frame just there. So if I pinch that, you just pull away, it just comes away. It's like magnets, which is really, really handy. Now, and the reason that they're curtains is because I think some European regulations, or the regulations, don't allow you to build a blind into the window. So you have to have these little magnetic things, and then you just store them away. But yeah, there's a blind above the kitchen. Something like that. Another one on this side. Now this one is attached to the pillars and not the door itself. I suppose the idea of that then is because the door has to slide back. And you've got another one here right up the back, and then one at the boot as well that goes all the way across. A little bit of light gets in the side there. But I think if you're in this long term and those kind of things bother you a little bit, you'd find ways of having little paper cutouts or another magnetic strip with a bit of cloth on it or something like that, and you'd easily figure it out. In terms of ventilation then, I know the weather at the moment, like, let's see, if I turn on the car here, lean over, what do we have? This should give me the outside temperature. Yeah, it's 15.5, and it's like 11:30 in the morning, so did it drop down to 12 at night, so I didn't really need the heating. It was hard to test that out, but like, you know, t-shirt and, you know, the blanket on me, and I was absolutely fine. And there is a little bit of ventilation, so nothing really comes in through the door cracks or anything like that. Where you get it is up the top up here. So if I turn on this way, you see this tiny little air vent just there. Now some light gets in, and I'll go up a bit closer so you can see it. There you go. And that's where you get a little bit of air from. And yeah, I didn't find it too stuffy when I woke up this morning. And another thing as well that I noticed, that there was zero condensation on the windows at all. So there definitely was enough ventilation that it was safe to be in here. There's two other parts of the California that I want to show you. So one is the awning, and the other one is the table and chairs. Now obviously there's seats in the side, and you can fold out that table where I've been working a bit in the last couple of days, but you can have it exterior as well. So what I'm going to do is just put the camera down here so you can see from a distance what I'm doing and how I set that up, and I can talk you through it. So let's get the camera here. So there is a table and chairs built into, and the table itself is built into the door on the other side of this, which is just really clever. So there's a little catch there. Now I just go on, there's a slightly less awkward way where if you're inside with the door closed, you take it out. But anyway, I just want to show you that. So a little handle there, that releases the table, and it's quite light, which is great. So you can fold it out, and that's actually built into the inside panel of the door. And just to give you an idea of the size there, I'll hold it up like that, you can see it compared to me. And then if we come around the back, let me show you that. But it's like so much with the California, it's really clever. Now this door, it's really heavy by the way, but it is, so it'll come up on its own from that sense. A little bit of weight just to kind of close it down, but get away with that. But look at this kind of black pouch just here. Let me come, so you can see it's built into the back of the door. A little zip just there. Bring that around. And what do we have in here? A couple of chairs. Absolutely brilliant. I'll show you the other part now, which is the awning in this, which is a really nice feature to have. Now you wouldn't be using it today because it's this really crappy Irish misty rain. But in that storage bin underneath the bench there, is this little pole that kind of folds away, but we're going to open it out. We come over here, hole goes in there, and we twist. Oh, let it slip out. That was my fault, not the car's. Oh yeah, there's a handle just there, spinning around, and your awning comes out. Look at that, absolutely brilliant. And then you can get supports to go under here as well. That will, if you want to extend it all the way out. So there's a limit, it says it just here, you can go 1/2 metre without support, which is about what I have it now. And then you can put the legs on to support it. And that will just go all the way out for, God, what looks like based on that diagram, about 1 metre. So there we go, fold away the pole, that storage back. And even now, a little bit of misty rain, you could sit out and just keep watching EV platform reviews. What else should you be doing? Brilliant. So it's time to do that last leg of the journey from here in the southern part of Kilkenny all the way up to Drogheda, and we have it in here. So let's say it starts, so it's going to be an hour 50, 164 kilometers, but the car is guessing that we have 470 range there, so there's absolutely no problem in doing that, the full round trip on one tank here. The weather, as you can see in the parts that I've recorded here, it's just absolutely miserable, that kind of rain and stuff, but there's no wind at all. So in terms of efficiency, we should be okay. There's not much elevation changes. The roads will be stickier, been wet of course, but yeah, we'll easily enough do that, I think. But now what I have to do is put away the roof. I got to retract that, bring that back down. And another thing as well, once I turn on the engine, it's going to recharge up the leisure battery that's in it. So it'll be interesting just to see, because if I go back on the screen just here and I toggle through the menus over to the driving data, and you can see since start. So when I put in the key in the ignition there 4 minutes ago, but the average efficiency for this part of the journey, I think that's going to be really interesting, because we're charging back up the leisure battery as well as driving, just to see how much extra fuel that uses. Right, let's get going. Put down the camera, so I've got 2 hands to do this. So I'll press that button. Let's swipe over, pop up roof, close, and here we go. Oh, do you know what I nearly forgot to do was to pull down that ceiling just there. So let's get that all the way down. Now start again. Roof bed already down. Yeah, it does a lot of warnings, beeps and bongs. There we go. I'm going to try and fold this better by holding that out here this time. Okay, made a strange noise there, but I think it's all right. Do you know what I do before I completely close up everything? Let's have a look. No, there's a tiny little lip of the netting sticking out, so here, close that door and click on open. Now you gotta go through this again and check the available roof space. Okay, it's gone up a couple of inches. Let's see if if I pulled all that part back to close again. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, absolutely fine this time. And I think, in fairness to the car, or to the California, I've gotten better at this. The first time I was like, oh, that's really fiddly. Surely there's a better system for it. And, maybe there is something a little bit tidier. Convertible roofs in cars don't seem to be a little bit easier than this, but yeah, I'm getting better at it as the more I do it, just to kind of get a feel for how it all works. It's still fiddly, unless there's some other really clever way that I don't know about. Tuck that in and then push that up there. Looking really get in there. Here we go. And yeah, okay. Here we go. It's 99% done. And you know what? That's going to do me. So I'm going to get on the road. So we've arrived in Drogheda. All of the journey is now finished. There's been a lot of time spent in this car. So let's have a quick look there. That last section was 161 kilometres. So it took, now I know that says 2 hours and 5, but on the tracker it's an hour 55 because I was messing around at the start before we actually left. But look, 6.5 litres per 100 kilometres, that's pretty good. And also that includes keeping the fridge on for the whole distance and getting the battery pretty much fully charged up as well. So I think it did quite well. And do you know what we do with, spin this around here, show that to you, and see, so long term, yeah, since we set off early yesterday morning, 550 kilometres and average 7 litres per 100 kilometres. So I think what I'll be doing is working out the numbers on that and figuring out how much it did actually cost to do that whole loop in terms of fuel. But yeah, look, it's a diesel engine. I don't find it particularly pleasant to drive at all, but otherwise the spec that's in here is quite nice. I think it's, you know, I got these kind of armrests just here on the chair, which is pretty good. Plenty of little creature comforts in there, heated seats both sides, automatic air conditioning, your cruise control system on the steering there. It's adaptive cruise control, electric windows, stuff. So it is spec'd out quite nicely. It's just that drivetrain, and when you know the next version of this is going to be based on the multivan platform with the plug-in hybrid, and the electric drivetrain there is going to be so much smoother and easier. But can't fault it, you know, got me where I needed to go. Yeah, fair play to it. So that's the end of my week with the California, and after I hit stop on recording this video, I'm going to take it back to Volkswagen and, against my wishes, give it back because I've loved my time with it. It's really surprised me, and I think that these things are an absolutely fantastic option for people. But I do have a few summary comments to make, and I'm going to make that from inside the California because this thing is so adaptable and you get to do things like this. So pop in, I've got the table set up there. Now, little piece of paper here because I wrote down a few notes. I didn't want to forget anything. We'll quickly kind of rifle through these. So the first thing about it is the size of it. It really has worked out. Concerns about it being too small for me at 6'2", and as you can see, even here, if I sit on the bench and stretch, I'm touching my head, but it gets over that through such smart design of space. And in the end, this became so usable and adaptable. It was comfortable doing the school run with the kids. We could stay over, we got the 3 of us in it. It really works in so many different ways. You can go to a car park and just park it up in a multi-story. It really fits. I love that about it. Now, the space inside is just done so cleverly. You have everything you need in here. Now, is it missing a toilet or a hot water tank? Does it have a shower inside? You don't get those things that you might get on one of the really big ones. But for me, that was okay. The way that I used it and the way this would fit with my life is parking up outside friends' houses or going to campsites where there's separate dining facilities and showering facilities. And then there is enough in here for you to get by. And the way it uses the space, I mean, it's just a transporter van. Yet you get the bed up there, you can expand it out. I can work from this as well, the 3-pin socket there. Loved it. Now, one thing that I don't like about it, me personally, I mean, this channel is called EV Platform, and this is the first time and probably only time we will ever have a combustion engine on it, because this doesn't exist with the ID Buzz California yet to come. And it's that drivetrain, 2-litre diesel, and I just don't enjoy it. The experience of the noise of the engine, the chugging, that just feels sluggish and compared to the electric motor, the efficiency of it as a result, and the environmental impacts of that using the diesel. So I'm personally not fully comfortable with that, but I know that future versions of this are going to be using that plug-in hybrid, and makes it a little bit better, of course. But overall, absolutely loved my time with this thing. They are a lot of money, but you can save a huge amount of money on cutting down on hotels, and you can use this car to haul the kids around, you know, fold down the seats if you need to get some bigger packages in the back if you're going up to the garden centre or DIY centre. This thing's been absolutely brilliant. I've loved my time with it, and what I'm really excited about is getting fully electric versions of this in the future.